What's going on, YouTube? It's Dr.Kuma1921 here with my deck profile, my very first deck profile for the Transformers TCG. And this is featuring a deck from the new set, the Wave 2 Rise of the Combiner set, featuring Optimus Maximus. Jumping right into it, showing the characters that I play. I play Optimus Prime, of course, because you need to start with him because he gets the other characters into your scrap pile when you start with him in alt mode, of course. I play Ironhide. He is a 4-10-2 in alt mode, and he has bold 1. And when he's flipped in the KO pile, he gives all your characters Pierce 2 until the end of the turn. And then we have Prowl, who also has bold 1. He is a 5-10-1, 5 attack, 10 health, and 1 defense. And when he's flipped while he's in the KO pile, he scraps an enemy weapon. Now, for the characters that I start with in the scrap pile, I start with Autobot Mirage, Sunstreaker, and of course Autobot Hot Rod to complete the Optimus Maximus combiner. So when Mirage is flipped in the grave, and he's my favorite because whether you go first or second, I think you always start with him because it's free. And I say it's free. Yes, you flip your, I say it's free because, yes, you do use a flip for your turn, but it's okay because your first 2 attackers are in the mode they want to be in. So it's free because you're taking a card out of your opponent's hand, like Disruptive Entrance, without actually playing it, physically playing an action from your hand. So you look at your opponent's hand and scrap an action from their hand. And then next we have Sunstreaker, who lets you draw a card, so it'll get you some card advantage, and also will give you more options for your turn. And then we also have Autobot Hot Rod, who is pretty much he's a zap. He deals 1 damage to an enemy. As you can see here, I have smaller cards in the hardback cases. I have the I have the combiner pieces also in small cards as well as the big cards. Until I figure out something better, what I will do is just keep 2 sets of the folded cards. Keep 2 sets on me of each combiner and keep some of the folded cards in the smaller sleeves, and then the big guys in the in a regular size, larger 3x5 sleeve. That way, when I can combine, it looks like this. There's a little space in between each card, but you get the idea. It still looks pretty good when you go to combine. Until I did play a couple of games like so, where I had the card out horizontal like so, and it wasn't an actual flip. But when I flipped for my turn, I would just slide the card over and go from there, so you know exactly which mode I'm in. But that proved to be space wasting. There was a lot of space being consumed, and it was just messy, and I didn't like it. So for now, that's how I'm doing it. Okay, so enough about that. Jumping right into the deck profile. Oh, well, you know what? Let me talk about Maximus real quick if you don't know what he does. I like him a lot. Again, this is a heavy orange version, by the way, if you couldn't tell, because I'm playing Ironhide, Prowl, and, of course, Optimus Prime. But whenever he battles, you draw 1 and plan 1. So whether he's attacking or defending, you can draw 1 and plan 1. And I really like that. It took me a minute to realize that it says when he battles. So again, when you're attacking, like Datapad, or when you're defending, like Security Console, you're able to draw a card no matter what, and then you may set a card on top of your deck. So, when you're in this mode, you'll ideally want to, of course, draw a card to stack one of your double oranges in orange, or and then when you're defending, of course, draw a card to stack one of your blues that's useless to you, or that to give him at least +1 defense. There's a blue version that I want to build as well, and it sounds so good to be able to draw a card and then stack a handheld blaster to give him some extra survivability on his defense. And that will be another deck profile for another time. But without further ado, enough talk about that. Let's jump right into the deck profile. So to start off with the actions, should be about 23 actions currently. Played a couple games with this deck. The last version I played was pretty similar to this one here, but I made some changes to it, and I like it overall. The deck hits very hard with Prowl and Ironhide having that static bold 1. Some of the cards I'm about to show you, adding those to their already strong attack and effects, make them hit very hard and can one-shot characters for sure. So to start off, we have a 3-piece through Tyranny. Piece through Tyranny, of course, is great with the double icon. I actually like to look to use the effect as well. For example, if I have a Prowl or Ironhide, or sometimes Optimus at very low health, if they're going to die and get KO'd anyway on the next turn, I might actively use this piece through Tyranny. And what that does is it lets me get my flip, my action, and my upgrade for the turn, but then also lets me get another turn so I can get another flip and get closer into combining into Maximus, which I think is very valuable. It doesn't happen all the time, and it doesn't happen often that I use this card for that reason, or just in general, but being able to not skip your opponent's turn, but get a whole entire another turn and get to attack is very, very valuable. On the turn, I'm trying to think of an instance where, let's say, actually, no, it's very valuable. Let's say that you have one of your bots tapped or 2 of your bots tapped, and you have your last bot to attack. Say we got a situation like this, and when you tap your last bot, you're tapped out, and your opponent still has one untapped bot to attack with. Well, if you play Peace Through Tyranny and tap one of your guys before you attack, you'll attack with Optimus, and then you'll go again. Now, normally in a non-combiner deck, you wouldn't be able to attack. You would still go again, but you would just draw, activate an action, and upgrade and flip, and then you have to pass back to your opponent since all characters on both sides of the battlefield aren't tapped. But now that you are combining, let's say that turn, you just needed one more turn to flip to combine. Well, now you get a whole another turn, and you flip your last guy and then play Sentinel Enigma. And when you play Sentinel Enigma, your combiner comes out untapped. So you get a whole nother attack that way. So I think that's very relevant. I haven't got to do it like that yet, but that's something I keep an eye out for. So 3 Peace Through Tyranny, 3 Rapid Conversion. I wasn't playing this card at first, actually, and I feel like I'm crazy for not playing it. If I'm playing combiners, I feel like I really want to race to get to Maximus. I've been talking to some people, and, you know, like, it's like, combining is not that big of a deal, but I think it is, because I'd rather just play another deck that's not combiners if I'm not trying to combine. Maximus is no slouch, you know, when he comes out. So, now granted, you know, it depends on, sometimes you might not want to bring him out if you're against 4 other characters, but when you think of it like that, the way that this deck hits so hard, if you're facing 3 or 4 other characters, the turn you combine where you can get attacked down, you know, multiple attacks like that, you're probably losing anyway. So I don't know, that would be a weird game state. But yeah, I'm trying to combine as fast as possible. What's nice about Rapid Conversion in this deck is I have 6 guys, and I have 3 in my KO pile that can flip and activate their effects. So that way I can actively Rapid Conversion one of my bots on the field, because ideally, without any other special type of flipping or effects, it's going to take 6 turns to combine, because you have to flip 1 of each, and you have 6 characters total. So this lets you get a turn ahead. Optimus' effect lets you get a turn ahead. This card is a white icon that helps you possibly trigger Optimus' effect, because you need 1 orange, 1 blue, and 1 white. So there's that. Then we have 3 Confidence. I was playing 1, I was playing 2, but then, you know, I woke up this morning actually and had an epiphany about it. I'm like, you know, you're playing 3 of cards that you really, really want to see in your opening hand, or you know, the highest chance you can have of opening. And you know, with the way the game works, you may only see 1 throughout the entire game, and that's what you want. You want at least 1 of them to be able to cycle through your deck, get to your upgrades, possibly play another action. It doesn't always work out that way, but it just helps you sift through your deck and fix your hands. And I like this card a lot, so definitely playing that. I'm glad we're getting a lot more solid draw power in the game, so I'm a big fan of that. Next we have Heavy Handed. This is a blue. Granted, yes, I'm playing a heavy orange deck, but I needed some blue to try to trigger Optimus' effect, and also just blue. You know, this card is just great overall, and it happens to be a blue with what you call it, with all the small combiners out now. You know, you might have moves where there's plays where, let's say, Hot Rod can deal a damage, and then you have a guaranteed other 4 damage with your with Heavy Handed. So my guys are 7s. And Prowl and Ironhide are both 7s, and then you have Optimus, who's an 11. Now, this is a meta call in terms of combiners are new. So the first tournament I'm going to Saturday, I expect to see combiners, just because people want to have fun. They've been tired of playing just mixed, you know, straight up character decks. Who doesn't want to play combiners? You know, most people, they're pretty excited about those, and so on and so forth. And then 7 is pretty high to be able to possibly trigger the effect either way. And no matter what, worst case scenario, it's just a +2. So I think this effect will come in handy a lot. And then especially what's even more important is when Optimus Maximus is on the battlefield, I think his stars total 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 46. His stars total 46. I haven't counted the rest of them, but I think that he has the highest stars of all the combiners. So that's even more relevant. You know, when you're battling against a combiner, Heavy-Handed with that +2 and Pierce 4 comes in handy. For my 2 ofs, I'm playing 2 Incoming Transmission. It may go up to 3. I always have to do a good bit of play testing to see if 2 or 3 matters, but it's still that draw power to be able to stack your Improvised Shields, stack your Peace Through Tyrannies if the turn calls for it, or to even try to plan, like if you have an extra Rapid Conversion possibly, or extra, you know, white icon in general, you can stack it specifically, so when Optimus attacks, you get 4 cards deeper into your deck, or 2 extra cards deeper into your deck to possibly trigger his effect and get you ahead in your flips, so you can get into Maximus quicker. 2 Supercharged. This is a heavy orange deck, so putting a Supercharge on Prowl or Ironhide is always great. That's bold 4. That's ridiculous. They're hitting like tanks. It's just ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. I've played a couple games where I've had, you know, play Grenade Launcher and Supercharge, just like old school cars on a prowl, and he's a 9 bold 4. That's ridiculous. He's hitting like 15 to 16 and definitely possibly one-shotting a character. And then for some direct damage, I'm playing One Shall Stand, One Shall Fall. I was playing Plasma Burst, but of course I should call this card One Shall Scott, One Shall Fall. Shout out to Scott Landis. He loves this card. I love this card, and he convinced me to play these over Plasma Burst. That extra damage means a lot. This plus Hot Rod's flip ends up becoming 4 damage. So Plasma Burst in this becomes 3 damage, and you don't damage yourself, but you don't necessarily care about the damage on yourself when you get to actively. That extra 1 damage means a lot. And then it can even come into handy where you have a character at 4, and you're like, oh wow, well, I can actively One Shall Stand and then attack and use combat commands, and I'll bring that card up here in a little bit when I get to my upgrades, and that's a solid 4 damage without even attacking to a character. So I think that will be very relevant. This card may be 3, this card may be 2, I might go down to 1, I don't know yet. But I definitely want to just keep testing it, and I like the idea of it thus far. And then to round out my last 2 I play Sentinel Enigma. The only Enigma I would play 3 of in any deck, in any of the combiner decks, is probably 3 of the Aerial Bot Enigma, because it deals 1 damage to each enemy, and the Predacon Enigma because it lets you progress. Like when you bring Predaking out, you can draw a card and play a card. So like you could play the Enigma itself, and then Minosaur. Minosaur lets you draw 2 cards when he comes out, and then you can play the Enigma to draw 2 more to possibly dig for an upgrade or whatever. For this is just a random speed. It scraps an enemy weapon or armor, which is still relevant, but I don't think I need 3 of them. I'm playing so much bold that I would definitely see 1 by the time I'm ready to combine, so I don't think I need 3. And plus, if I play 3 anyway and I open 1, like like these other 3-ofs that I want to actively see in my opening hand, well, the thing is, I probably will discard it for another green icon later in in that early to mid game, or I might discard it for confidence. So when I discard it, I still have 2 in the deck. So it's the same thing. I'd rather have 2 in my deck and have that 3rd card as something that I would like to actively play in my hand, and then get one of the two of these down the line when I'm ready to combine. And so to round up my 1-ofs, I play 1 ramming speed still. Utilities and weapons are a lot more relevant these days, so I don't want to just play like drill on any cards that specifically focus on armors. I probably will always still focus on destroying an armor. I'm not just going to activate it just because. But cards like Stunticon Enigma, played a couple games against that, and when they finally get the big guy out, it's just you versus him. I had to reread it. I thought Stunticon Swagger says enemies cannot use tough or bold against the upgraded character. So when Minosaur comes out, he is the only upgraded character that you're battling. So he turns off bold and tough, and that hurts me. So this 1 random speed might not even be that relevant because he's because I'm only playing 1. And then, of course, the Sentinel Enigma doesn't even destroy utilities. It only destroys weapons or armors. So I may go up 2 ramming speeds, and then I'm only talking about 1 deck. People might not even be playing Minosaur or even Stunticon Swagger. But that's just 1 instance. And overall, I still like this card just for its utility and getting rid of either of the 3. Just in case, you never know. We have some, not even just about Stunticon Swagger. We have other great utilities that just came out. So I want to be aware and play that. And then to round out my last 2 greens, I have an orange green and a white green here, Espionage and Press the Advantage. I wish I could play more Press the Advantage. I am playing all Autobots, or I'm playing, Autobots in my deck in general. If side decking ever becomes a thing, side decking is where you'll have 15 additional cards in your deck box, and then when you go to games 2 and 3, you're able to move cards from your side deck to your main deck, and then move cards from your main deck back to your side deck, so you still have an equal number. So if I started with 40 card main deck and a 15 card side deck, for example, I could take 3 cards from my side deck and put it to my main deck, and I just need to make sure I take 3 cards out of my main deck and put it back into my side deck to equal out before I start game 2 and game 3. Side decking probably will never become a thing in this game, but if it does, being able to main deck 1 of these and then side deck 2 more when you play against Decepticons specifically, or somebody that has 1 Autobot, 2 Decepticons, or a Decepticon you definitely want to try to press the advantage on, will be more beneficial. But right now I'm just playing 1. I get it when I want it. If I draw it, cool. If I if I flip it off of attack or defense, cool. And it cycles right back in the deck, so you can kind of get it whenever you need it. And then space is an issue too, so of course that's one of the main reasons I'm only playing 1. And then of course Espionage. I'm playing Espionage because it a lot of nice combos you can do with this. You can play this, and if your opponent's playing heavy blue, you'll call blue and then look at their hand, scrap an upgrade, and then you have combat commands equipped into one of your characters. You can attack and flip Mirage and flip Mirage back and scrap another card out of their hand because they have an action after seeing this. Right after you saw their hand with Espionage. This is just a tech card from Mark Heaney. We was playing some games this weekend, and he mentioned this card. So I'm trying it. It is a white, so it helps with Optimus. It's a white to help progress 2 cards deeper into your deck with all your bold, attacking. So trying it, and I like it so far. I've stolen Enigmas with it the turn before they combined and ruined their combining, and now I'm beating down on them with my Maximus while they're stuck, not able to combine until they find another Enigma. So relevant. I like it. And just looking at your opponent's hand and taking a card from it in general reminds me of my Yu-Gi-Oh days. There was a card that did similar, and that card is banned in Yu-Gi-Oh, and we have a card like this in this game, so I'm liking it. So that rounds out the rest of the actions. That comes up to about 20, not about, that should be 23 actions. And then moving on to the upgrades, starting with the weapons. Weapons, with this new green icon mechanic, it's making me think that you don't need as many weapons in general anymore, and I say that if you're playing a lot of weapons that have green icons, because the fact that you can see them when you either draw them or when you're attacking or defending, and you can actively just get it to your hand. That makes me think about my deck building differently. Like, I could possibly play less upgrades, but a lot of them possibly are green icons, and I just literally get them to my hand. If I don't draw them, well, that's cool. Whenever I flip them from attacking and defending, I can just easily get them to my hand. But for now, I am playing a 3 grenade launcher because this is a very aggressive deck. So not much to say about that. You put this on Prowl, or you put this on any of them. I speak about Ironhide and Prowl the most because they have that bold one. And, you put this and Supercharge on any of them, and definitely looking to one-shot someone. And then played 2 Noble Blaster. I was playing 3. It was brought to my attention that you don't need 3 again because you're playing the green icon, so you can actively playing 2 of these is like playing 4 of these in a sense, if that makes sense. And that's probably incorrect, but in my head, that's the way it makes. You're playing 2 of them. When you see one and you flip it off of your attacking or defending, you just easily just add it to your hand. So, and the Pierce only works against Decepticons, so it's nice to just get it to your hand to have a weapon to increase the attack of your guys and press on for your attacking. And then to round out the last 2 weapons, I'm playing 2 Ion Blaster. I can't think of any other, and plus I'm playing it playing this in general. I'm putting this on Optimus is great. He'll be a 7-2 in bot mode and a 6-3 in alt mode. And then it's also a blue to help possibly trigger Optimus's effect. And, just in general, if you can get this to stick and it comes out with Optimus Maximus, Optimus Maximus is an 11-2, which is ridiculous. He already has the highest base attack in the game, for a combiner and just overall in general. Optimus and Ironhide. Optimus and, what's the other truck? Wow, forgot his name. What is that truck? Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. But, yeah. So, moving on from my weapons, I have 7 weapons, and I have my 3 improvised shields. I never play around and equip this. For tough 1, I only have about 8 or 9 blues in the deck, so I would never play around and equip that. I'll wait for my opponent to either security checkpoint it out my hand, for me to incoming transmission it, for me to confidence it, or for the newly green icon mechanic, just pitch it from my hand to easily get that whatever to my hand. But of course, you have this is very powerful when you're flipping this off of any of your characters to increase their attack, then go for these kills. And then to round out the rest of the armors, I'm playing 2 Bashing Shield and 1 Force Field. The Force Field might honestly become a Bashing Shield. I'm playing the white because I'm, again, trying to trigger Optimus's effect. The math and all that I'm not sure of. Like, I think this makes 6 whites now, 6 or 7 whites. That might be a lot, and I might be like, okay, I'm flipping whites too often and milling a lot of important cards. But then at the same time, like I said, this is just a testing phase. I'm not playing a lot of blue, so if I do draw this, I can keep it and use it when I really need to. But then coming to Bashing Shield, I like this card. You can get it whenever you want. The static +1 defense is great. If you can get this and Ion Blaster on Prime before you go into Maximus will now be an 11-3. So he has some nice survivability, and with his beefy health, hopefully he comes out with enough health. And but I don't even know if I'm liking Force Field at all anymore because of this card. So again, it'll come to playtesting. I'll go into the tournament that I have Saturday, a couple minutes from my house actually, which is nice. It's a case tournament, so hopefully a good bit of people show up and we can get a nice showing for the new format with Wave 2. But yeah, I might just take this card out in general because it's like every time I have it, it's like, oh, I'm gonna get Bashing Shield off one of my flips and just activate it and just kill your Force Field. So I like this card a lot, though. I'm glad we have a card like this to be able to actively get it and get rid of a problem armor. And then to round out the last of the cards in my deck, I played 3 Combat Commands. This card is great. If you can get one of these on one of your characters, you know, you can take an action out of your opponent's hand and then attack and take another action out of your opponent's hand, or you can, you know, flip Hot Rod, deal 1 damage, and then attack and then flip back and deal another damage with Hot Rod. Hot Rod ends up becoming a plasma burst, so he's a plasma burst within himself. If you have 1-shot stand, 1-shot fall, it's even more powerful. You 1-shot stand, 1-shot fall, and then, like, you know, a guy that has 4 left, you're attacking someone else, but let's imagine you have another character that has 4 health left. Well, you'll 1-shot stand it, and then you'll attack the other character to possibly KO it as well, and then you'll trigger combat commands to flip one of your KO'd sentinels from alt mode, or from bot mode to alt mode, and then back to bot mode, which will trigger their effect again. And I think this card is great. Might play 2 because once you get out Maximus, you don't want to see this card. Now, just having it in it is a utility, so having it in the utility slot is for a static +1, plus, you know, Ion Blaster or Noble Blaster still is +3 attack overall. So, and just thinking about it, you know, you want to try to see at least one of these early game so you can generate advantage off of its effect. And then last but not least, I have 1 Matrix of Leadership that has that double icon, you know, double colored icon, so it helps on attacking and defending. And of course, if you can get this on Optimus early game, that nice spread of having +1 on each of your other guys, and Pierce 1 is always nice. So that's it for the deck profile, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Be expecting some content, some gameplay from this deck, some gameplay from my aerial bots. I think that's the next one I want to build. I'm really excited to build that. But I'm going to build all of them: Venusaur, Predaking, Volcanicus, and Dreadwing. I'm really excited to build all those and get some content up. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and be expecting weekly content from me. I might not be able to do daily, but I'm going to get it out when I can because I'm pretty busy behind the scenes. But that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and my take on the orange heavy Optimus Maximus deck. I'll talk to you guys later. Y'all have a good night. Akuma 1921's out. S. Akuma.